To the big one. Now, several parts of Accra and the country have been witnessing erratic power supply for the past few days. This has prompted calls for ECG to publish a load shedding timetable to enable consumers plan their lives. Now, a statement from the Ministry of Energy has revealed that with the tie-in operation successfully completed and coupled with the measures put in place, including procurement of fuel and increased power supply from La Côte d'Ivoire, the power situation will normalize from today, February 27, I beg your pardon. The statement signed by the Communications Officer at the Energy Ministry, King Wellington, also adds that a delegation sent to Ivory Coast successfully negotiated an increase in power supply despite Ghana's indebtedness of about $660 million as of the end of December 2016. Right, let's do some discussion over this. We have in the studio tonight Dr. Philip Adom, Director of Research and Policy Institute, Policy at the Institute of Energy and Climate Change. Good evening, sir. We're grateful you joined us again. Now, the previous government had said constantly that it had Doomsor was a thing of the past, that it has solved Doomsor. Only for us to get into the beginning of the year after elections, and we had this outages, which reasons have been given for that though. But would you say that the previous government solved the Doomsor situation, even relatively?
Okay, thank you and good evening to your viewers, and thank you for having me on your show. I will not say that they solved the problem completely, but what I can say is that the situation was managed. And if you remember the last time I think we're here, I said that the seemingly stable power sector is still fragile, and there's the need for us to make sure that we do things to stabilize the short-term benefit that we enjoy. So I wouldn't say that the problem was not solved completely. Yeah.
Now, with what we are facing, would you say it's a technical challenge or financial challenge?
Okay, I think two things are true now. We admit that there are some maintenances going on, but again, we also know that some of our plant side are experiencing fuel security problems, and some of them is financially related. And if you look at the even the maintenances, I would say that this thing was foretold, and obviously with managers that we have entrusted these our centers with, one would expect that they would have planned at least to make sure that they alleviate us from. And
there was sustainability with the measures they put in place. That brings us to the issue of procurement of fuel to run the thermal plants which we have. This has been a major problem. Are you able to tell us what exactly the problem is?
I think that the problem again is financial, which nobody can dispute that fact. I think if we have the money, I think, and you go to the market to buy, any supplier will be willing to sell the product. But if, let's say, you're already indebted, for example, you are indebted to Nigeria and you need gas from them, and you've not already paid off your previous debt, how do you expect them to, supply the fuel to you so that you can also be able to power your plant? So I think the core problem is still financial. The supply side has serious structural problem. That is something that we must admit. And the earlier we try to tackle this issue, the better for the nation. And I would say that we shouldn't try to politicize this issue, because this problem has been with us for a very long time. And any political party that comes to power, try to play politics around this. But the problems are always, staring us in the faces. And the earlier we solve it as a nation, the better.
The better. I know that they're talking about the earlier we solve it and all. Most of the governments, previous government, this government, they've all adopted I beg to say cosmetic approaches. Let's say, for example, the debt owed Cote d'Ivoire, we owe in excess of over 60 million US dollars, and yet we've been able to negotiate with that country to increase their supply to us. It means that we're just waiting for it to crash. If they come asking for their money and we are not able to, do you anticipate that we'll be going back to the doomsday situation?
Yeah, for now, the way that we are going about things, the coming back of doomsday is a high possibility. Unless we see some kind of structural transformation in that supply sector of our energy sector, I think doomsday will always be knocking at our doors. Now, what they are trying to do is just like a management kind of system. So, okay, now you've been able to negotiate, but to what extent can you negotiate with Cote d'Ivoire? Because they will also need money at some point in time, you know. So, you know, at some point, this thing is going to break. Just like I'm sure we did the same with Nigeria. At a point, we had problems with them in terms of securing gas from them. So we shouldn't be so happy that today, yes, maybe they might be a little bit friendly with us today, but it cannot be, you know, sustainable.
Something that will continue for a long period.
So for me, I think that if we really need to solve this, our energy sector, one of the core things that we have to do is to look at ways to diversify our energy sources. This over-reliance...
But I thought that we are being told that we don't have capacity challenges. So if you talk about diversifying sources, do you mean to say, for example, we should explore nuclear, the nuclear option, we should explore the solar option, and then we should maybe put a less premium on Akosomo and increase production at Bui power plant? What exactly are you talking about when it comes to the actual generation mix, which will solve the problem?
Yeah. You know, like when we talk of this generation mix, as you said, like yes, in terms of capacity, we do not have problem. But the thing is, have you been able to operate at full capacity? At any point in time, you see that we are operating below full capacity. And one of the core issues has been financial. And what we should know is that when your electricity sector, let me put it that way, is being supplied using light crude oil and natural gas, there's always that kind of insecurity there, because whatever happens on a global market, you'll be hit by that. So if it was a country that actually wants to ensure security in supply and also again ensure some kind of affordability to your consumers, then you would want to go in for a much more reliable and sustainable source. And that is why all over the world people are, you know, moving towards solar, people are moving towards wind type of energy. And this is what we are trying to, you know, advocate for. Another thing that we should also note is that, yes, for the supply side problem that we are having, there's no way we can solve it in the short term. We need a long-term solution. But then in the short term, what can we do? We need to also do some management on the demand side. And this is where I come back to the consumers. You know, we have a serious problem with our supply side. And we cannot continue to use energy the way we used to use energy. Electricity, though it's publicly produced, is not a public good. It is an economic good. The more you waste it, the less you have for you know other
Dr. Dom, let me pause you and go on the telephone lines. We have energy expert Kojo Poku also joining the discussion. So Poku, good evening. I'm happy that you're joining us. I know that I always ask you about the effective generation or the effective mix to solve this problem once and for all. We keep going back and forth. Now, Cote d'Ivoire, we owe money, but we've been able to negotiate with them to increase their production to us. We also have the challenge of fuel shortage. We're not able to buy fuel to power the existing thermal plants. Where are we going? Are we knocking our heads against each other and making no progress?
Which started last week. It wasn't managed well, as in the way the information came to us, the populace, was not managed well.
Hello, Mr. Boku.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me? We didn't hear the last bit of your submission. I think your line was breaking. You were talking about the situation not being managed well in the past week. And
well, yes. What I'm trying to say is that, you see, with everybody in Ghana now knows that the doomsaw is money and is multifaceted. Yes, we do have the installed infrastructure, but we don't have the full security. And we need money to be able to have full security, and we do not have the money. And I mean, the president in his State of the Union, State of the Nation, said that we owe something like 2.4 billion, which we are aware. We know it's going to take this government some time to grapple with the situation and resolve it, which we understand. But it's the way information gets to us, which is very important. You remember back when Mr. Kwame Donko was the Minister of Power, and some of us said that, look, if you know that lights are going to go off in 2 or 3 days, and the GridCo and the VRA tell you, the minister, immediately you should let the populace who are going to be at the dire end of the situation get to know, because industry needs to know. Residential needs to know. We went through Tuesday till the weekend until a statement came out. Then people have already been inconvenienced. So I think that we expect this administration to do much different from the previous administration by dissemination information to us better than it was done in the past. Your question of what do we do is that we have to continue doing what we've been doing in the last couple of years, which is making sure that a lot of infrastructure goes into, capital investment goes into it, but at the same time, make sure that we are going to introduce some sort of efficiency in the generation of money.
Right.
Because we realize that mobilization of revenue is very key. As the 6 weeks of this new administration, we still haven't put the prepaid meters in the MDAs, in the SOEs. So the debt that is 2.6 billion is still increasing. So what are they doing different? We expect that, yes, you know it's money, but you knowing it's money, you know how that debt came about. What have you done about it?
Right. Mr. Boko, I am afraid that we'll have to continue our
January 2016.
Right, Mr. Boko, thanks very much and for joining the show. So, Dr. Adom, let's wrap up with you. So, what should the way forward be for this new government? I mean, they obviously inherited this problem, which was also inherited by the last government and was inherited by the previous one. It's been a cycle that has been with us for a long time. What should this government do?
I think the first thing, and which is very important, as I think my colleague said, is the issue of transparency.
Transparency.
For me, I find it very difficult to accept the fact that the minister has to come out to tell Ghanaians like what is actually happening with this doomsaw. What is ECG doing? What is VRA doing? And what is GridCo doing? You know, I remember, I think last year when, I think early this year, they released a joint press release assuring Ghanaians that there were not going to be any problems of doomsaw and that they had put in enough measures. So now, if there is a problem,
they should tell us.
They should come
They're the ones who should come and tell us, not the government people. So we leave the politicians out of it. Dr. Adom, I have to run. Thanks very much for joining us. Dr. Philip Kofi Adom is with the Institute of Energy and Climate Change.